Rates of Ebola vary depending on the strain. For example, Ebola Zaire can have a fatality rate of up to 90%, while Ebola Reston has never caused a fatality in humans. Severely ill patients require intensive supportive care. Ebola virus disease is often characterized by the abrupt onset of fever, intense weakness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. Ebola tends to spread quickly through families and friends as they are exposed to infectious secretions when caring for an ill individual. The time interval from infection with Ebola to the onset of symptoms ranges from 2 to 21 days. Ebola is considered zoonotic, and there is currently no vaccine available for Ebola, although several vaccines are being tried in laboratories. Preventing transmission is achieved by ensuring all health workers wear protective clothing, implementing infection control measures such as complete equipment sterilization and routine use of disinfectant, isolation of Ebola patients from contact with unprotected persons. Thorough sterilization and proper disposal of needles in hospitals are essential in preventing further infection and halting the spread of an outbreak. Ebola tends to spread quickly through families and among friends as they are exposed to infectious secretions when caring for an ill individual. The virus can also spread quickly within healthcare settings for the same reason, highlighting the importance of wearing appropriate protective equipment such as masks, gowns, and gloves. Now that you know what causes Ebola and how it can be spread, take care of yourself and protect yourself from the deadly virus. I'm Katharina Twine for The Link. Stay tuned.
The Link on UBC Radio, connecting you to the world of information.
Don't miss UBC Radio Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We host credible and relevant guests to discuss pertinent issues of national importance aimed at addressing people's concerns.
As a country, if we don't fight this vice of corruption seriously and with honest opinion without any bias, things will not be good for us.
UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
UBC, ensure that the information you give out is factual but also objective, balanced, and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcast of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda. Don't miss UBC Radio Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We host credible and relevant guests to discuss pertinent issues of national importance aimed at addressing people's concerns.
As a country, if we don't fight this vice of corruption seriously and with honest opinion without any bias, things will not be good for us.
UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
UBC, ensure that the information you give out is factual but also objective, balanced, and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcast of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Darling,
Yes, my love.
what do you think might be going on in our village?
It's the Ebola outbreak.
Is our family really safe from catching Ebola?
Yes, only if we follow the Ministry of Health Ebola SOPs.
Like what?
Like always wearing a mask while in public,
Oh, yeah?
washing our hands with soap, or sanitize after touching any surface. Avoid shaking hands while greeting, and social distance while in public. Then, report to the nearest qualified health worker in case you get symptoms like high temperatures, difficulty in breathing, vomiting blood, or bloody diarrhea.
Oh, thank you, my love.
There is an Ebola outbreak in our communities. Avoid catching or spreading Ebola by following the Ministry of Health Ebola SOPs. This is a message from UBC Radios. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Hello, dear listener. You're most welcome to UBC Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM UBC Radio. In case you're in Kampala, we're also on 97.4 FM in Arua. We're also live on 99.4 FM in Lida. We are live on another radio station, UBC Butebo. You can get us on 96.9 FM in Bale, 98.4 FM in Soroti, and 95.5 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on another radio station based in West Nile, covering all the parts in the northern parts of Uganda, West Nile sub-region, Karamoja sub-region, and Teso sub-region. We are on 98 FM. We are also live and clear on another radio station known as Magic 100 FM. We are streaming live on YouTube. We just enter UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this edition of Ground Zero today. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we welcome you, you who are online and those who are on radio. Ampaire Amon Otega is my name. It's a very big privilege and honor that you have just joined us, and we must thank you for being part of us from the time we started in the morning show with Uncle Philip and the other programs coming your way. This is yet another important edition of Ground Zero, and we really love you that you have chosen UBC Radios as your most loved and favorable radio stations. We have only hours to end 2022. a year that has been good to some people and a year that has not been easy to others. For those who had so many difficulties and challenges in 2022, we pray that the next year, 2023, becomes the best year for you. And for those who had a lot to celebrate in this year, we congratulate you and we pray that even next year you achieve even more. We are ending the year in a big style. We are celebrating 2022. As I said before, we have only a few hours to end this year. And in Ground Zero, we are going to end it in style. This is a very special edition of Ground Zero. We have important guests in this studio of UBC. And these are the best people that I believe the country celebrates every other day. We have great minds in today's show, and I believe that we're going to have the best moment and the best discussion in our discussion today. The big privilege to have Michael Fupa is the programming officer of UBC Butebo. The big privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you so much, and good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Am I forgetting the name again?
No.
For us, we say if you forget somebody's name, then that person actually had a good, is actually satisfied.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is in Masavaland. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We also have...
Amon, eh?
Yes.
What is the other name?
Ampeire Amon Rutega.
Ampeire. No, I would go with Rutega.
Butega.
Butega?
Yes.
What do you Kutega?
The other day someone was like, are you Kwetega? Like
yes.
People.
Okay, Amon.
You're most welcome.
Thank
to
you so
UBC
much.
Ground Zero.
Yeah.
We also have Philip Sekanjago, is the UBC radio presenter. Most welcome to UBC Ground Zero.
I don't know why people like using that other name of mine. Yeah, but we can go with it. I'm so happy to be here. Although I've always been scared of this show, but since we're talking about entertainment, then because politics, I'll always give you my honest opinion, and I'm sure it will not make certain people happy. So, entertainment lane, I'm good to go. Politics, we have my brother, CEO, manager. Those ones they can handle. They have connections. One phone call away, and they're out whatever place they can take them. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be part of UBC. I'm so happy to be a part of the Ground Zero, and hopefully we are going to have a great show.
Interesting. Are you telling us that you are not a politician in any way?
I'm not a politician. I don't like politics.
Someone said that every human being is a political animal.
And no, me, I'm not a politician.
All right, interesting. On the also a presenter at UBC Radio and runs the literature, culture, and environment. Most welcome to UBC Ground Zero.
I'm really humbled. It's quite interesting that I'm here on this innovative and very productive show that touches on pertinent issues across the world, and it's really a pleasure to share. And of course to thank our listeners that do love UBC radio stations.
Interesting. I must welcome you to Ground Zero, and it is a very big privilege and honor having such minds inspiring the people of Uganda. And I must thank you for educating the people, education
and entertaining
people. Yeah. That is the most interesting. I believe this is a very noble role that you have really played in this 2022.
Although it's not yet gender sensitive, we need to have to spice it with some. I hope they on their way.
I expected you to have that.
I think this should have.
My other part.
I know that this is someone who is deciding that they should be on the bulls.
Only bulls in the crowd.
But you have always complained about them, so I thought...
so we needed some spice. We are ending the year. And this being the last Ground Zero show in 2022, we surely need to spice it with some sweet voices.
Interesting. The other day I was watching some news and sports news.
Yes.
And there were rally somewhere in the north. And when they interviewed someone, I was like, this lady was good, but we lacked some spices. And I was like, which spices now are they talking about? Little did I know that they meant the other gender.
Yes, of course. They need to be around here.
Interesting.
And next time I'll bring one.
All right.
Possibly.
Hopefully in 2023 now.
2023.
Because I don't know, even if we worked very hard, it may not be possible for us to have one.
Interesting.
All right.
We are looking at we are reflecting on the year 2022 and looking at also the aspirations of the coming one, 2023. But before we go that very far, before we see the other 2023, I would love to know how 2022 was to you at the individual level. Before we talk about politics, entertainment, and sports, I would love to know how it has been to you as an individual at the personal level. Any best moments and bad moments, if you can share. Maybe it will encourage and inspire someone outside the FUPA.
Okay, thank you, Amon, and good morning, listener outside there. I'm very happy to be here this morning to share with my brothers and sisters who are listening in. This year has been, say, a mix. Usually we always have a mix. There have been good moments, but there have also been hard moments. For me personally, I think it was at the beginning it was very hard because I lost my dad. That was in January around 17th, buried around the 19th. Mm-hmm. So I think that was my low. A parent means a lot to everybody. But somehow we've now moved on and accepted what has happened because you can't reverse what God has decided. But then I would say along the way, of course, for us parents, the other thing that has been also a bit of a problem is the issue of school fees. After COVID-19, most of our economies were crumbled. Small things that we were doing at home. We were in Kampala. We were locked in Kampala for about 2 years, so you couldn't know what was happening. By the time we got back, many things had actually gone wrong, and the little resources that we had to treat ourselves, we had to feed ourselves. So on the side of school fees, we have been on and off going to the school administration, always to tell them, please, they say they want to chase the child. So that one also has been a challenge. But overall, I would say we are still alive. When you are alive, you should always keep the hope going because something will happen which will make your life a bit better. So I'm happy because I'm still alive. We even come to the end of the year. I also want to thank UBC management. They have managed to sustain us. There are usually issues here and there, but they have come through. They keep supporting us, and I'm not complaining because at least I've gotten my salary up to the end. So that is a plus. And really, we've moved on with management well. I know they cannot do everything, but overall, I think we've been fine. Thank you, Aman.
Interesting. May Mzee really rest in eternal peace.
No, God
I will
will
stand with you.
All right, thank
George Ngovi.
Yes, Aman.
2022, personal level.
Yeah, of course. Personally, it had some challenges. It had some ups and downs. But one interesting bit of it is that as a parent who has 3 boys, the 2 years I spent with my boys, it bonded us together. And I realized one thing that got me really exciting, because for the first time, the boys grew taller than me. And they were so happy. Yeah. Especially the first and the second born. Actually, the second born is even growing taller and taller every other day. But of course, 2022 began on a very good note because we were out, the economy was open, schools were open, and life seems to move on. But eventually, it turned out to be really challenging, especially when Russia invaded Ukraine, and the economy began to hit hard on us. Commodity prices have been shooting, actually up to the end of 2022. Just imagine a bunch of matoke going to 90,000, 100,000. Commodity prices like oil, because I've been with the boys a lot, so I had devised means of how to survive. So those boys could do justice to bread. They can eat one loaf in one sitting. So we had devised means of trying to survive, but then commodity prices shot up. Oil prices shot up. Flour prices shot up. So it was really, really challenging towards the end. And we try to adjust. Although, like my colleague has said, UBC has been trying a lot to facilitate us, but things seems to double. If you look at the fare, it doubled because of the fuel prices. So it was really challenging towards the end. And like he said, however much excitement lays there comes the issue of school fees. Though I've had some news that it's going to be regulated. It's popping up through the statutes. It's going to be regulated. That it's going to be uniform. But otherwise, I've remained healthy. I've not fallen sick. I've not lost dear ones like my colleague. And I've remained healthy, and we didn't have any challenges. Good, we're here.
Interesting. Philip?
Well, it has been, a touching moment when my brother mentioned about the loss of his dad. As a person who didn't grow up with parents, and I grew up with my grandies, so I started feeling the impact of losing someone that you dearly love with my grandfather. So I sympathize with you, brother, and I pray that may the Lord give you strength, because those are trying moments. And personally, I've learned that every failure that we go through, it is always a stepping stone. If you are positive, sometimes you have to divert the negative energy into something that is positive, something that is going to encourage you, something that is going to push you. There are certain things that do happen in our lives and we do not have control over them. So I'm not that kind of a person who would say I've had challenges. Yes, I've had them, but I've used those challenges to my own advantage, because there are times where you could lock yourself in the house and cry because you do not have what to eat. But even when you cry, the tears are not going to give you what to eat. You're not going to eat the tears. So personally, 2022 has been a great year with a lot of challenges, but learned to how to to convert the challenges into positivity. And I would say it has been a good year so far. And unfortunately, I don't have kids to pay school fees for. and yeah, like I don't. And I would love, fortunately. but I know they're struggling. They're struggling moments. Although I have people that I help because I believe in giving.
Yeah.
And giving does not necessarily mean that you have to have a lot to give, because it is a tendency that that develops in the long run.
Yeah.
You do not have to wait to start earning a big salary so that you can help someone. I have people that I help, and school fees, it is an impact. Buying food at home, it impacts everyone. Those are general problems. It impacts everyone. I have to look out for my grandy, buy her this, buy her that. So all those things. And I would love to disagree with my brother when he said that they are working on regulating school fees. Welcome to Uganda.
So already
you're already biased.
He's already in there. At one time, Philip was saying that he's not a political animal. Now his politics is coming out.
No, but you see, there are certain things that when they're said, you do not have to leave that box unticked. Now you see, school fees, that is something we shouldn't even waste time on, because you see, there are people who have done investments in schools and expecting returns.
It is somebody's business.
Yes, it is someone's business.
How do you come up and say, I want you to do this and don't do this?
You see? And you see, that is impossible.
All right.
Well,
we have systems like, if you look at the transport system, if you look at the bus system, there are 90% privately owned, but they regulate the transport fares. And when they rise, especially the festive days, they come up with reasons to explain why they've hiked the prices, because it turns out to be a one-way ticket. So they congratulate themselves, the bus owners, and have uniform prices. So I don't think Philip gets skeptical about the schools putting a uniform.
You see, if we are to be helped, the first things that have to be done, fuel stations, they all have to have the same price. You realize Shell sells a different price, Total, Rubies, they all have different prices. Before fuel is regulated, trust me.
Maybe on what I could, and what my brothers are saying is that we are in a liberal economy, and with the liberalization, people are free. It is actually the market forces that determine what you buy, what you get. So I think here government, I don't know whether we're going back to government control the markets, or we are saying we are in a liberal economy. But at anyhow, a government at any one point, they are actually a regulating body. They have to regulate, because if you leave people just go anyhow, then definitely that ceases to be a government. So I think regulation can be there, but it depends on which level and how they agree.
But the other thing, because the government is there to supervise and to regulate, why would you charge exorbitantly the citizens? Because 1.8 million on a nursery kid.
True.
P1.
You see? I think 15,000, and that money was really, really hard to get.
Some of us never went to
nursery student. Yes. You are demanding 2 rims or 3 rims.
True.
What are you going to use that for?
I think there are some excesses.
6 packs of toilet papers, of detergents. You want about 14 counter books.
Yes.
P1, P3, P4.
And of course, you're forgetting pencils. That's a dozen of pencils.
Everything is actually
and when you say the government should not come in, I really don't really understand. No, sure, they are making money, and this is a private entity, but somehow, somewhere, I think we are losing it all.
Yeah, because
education is becoming expensive. And what happens when education becomes expensive?
The challenge is education is becoming expensive, and there are no jobs. We've found actually there's so many border riders that have degrees.
True.
And this parent invested money in that child. Actually, growing up, I realized that we as children, we have to respect our parents so much, because they sacrifice a lot that we don't even know, like really, really a lot, to see that you get that uniform, you get those shoes, you have food at home, lunch, breakfast, they buy you bread, and they do a lot. They sacrifice really, really a lot. Just that I've grown up, and a week you can wake up one day and you do not have even 1,000 Ugandan shillings
in your pocket.
And you can't explain it to someone that, I don't have money, but this father of yours gave you money. He would actually even give you 200 for you to take to school to buy sambusas. You get like parents really, really sacrifice a lot for us, and I think even the government, because these things that are entirely about the government. The government is the head. Like everything is about the government, and I'm not trying to pinpoint people in particular places. Just like how people usually say, President Museveni should help us with this. Like he has given you people to do this. There are ministries. I think the ministries should try to create more jobs for the youth, and because now the challenge is most people are not embracing the .com era. You see, in countries like Kenya, in countries like Tanzania, people have free Wi-Fi. There's what they call content providers. People, you go get stories, stream them on YouTube. The more views you get, you start earning. Now, just imagine if we had free Wi-Fi in the country. People could access free Wi-Fi.
Yes.
People could watch your stories on YouTube. You could be generating money, and the government could be getting taxes.
So we could say Philip is already giving
an insight. Yeah.
An insight. Deny how many times. I doubt whether there's anybody who is not a politician.
You can see.
Whatever he's saying is actually political, and that is policy. You are trying to say we have been moving in this direction, but we need to adjust so that we can achieve this. Actually, many people have gone to school, but there's need actually to look at unemployment is so high. But what is important now is how do we create jobs? Or how do these people become job creators so that they are not idle? So that the education that they have attained does not look like you wasted your time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but on the side of government, maybe if we can move, because I know there are many other things that we will have to consider, is that government is on the spot, but I want them to start with their government schools. Because you find that every time they say this, but it is never implemented.
Because they also, Fupa must be right. Because before you come to my school, I will tell you, but you are charging the same what I'm charging. Yet you are government. It's a government school, because there are government schools which are charging almost the same. So they will say, we are buying food, we are buying ABCD, we are paying teachers. Are you going to facilitate some of our expenses that we meet?
Yeah. The good thing is that the beauty, they are saying they're going to do some bit of auditing. So probably through that, I know certain things there can be some adjustments. However, I don't know, because if you look at these schools, they are not homogeneous. There are those in the rural areas, there are those in semi-peri-urban areas, there are those that are in cities. So if you are to come up with a policy or regulations that should guide these schools, I think they have to put all this in consideration. Because if they don't do it, then you may find that they may affect the other people who are not charging highly. So they say now that the government has said we should charge between this and this, even the people in the village will be affected. So I think whoever is going to carry out this exercise should put all those things into consideration.
Interesting.
Maybe lastly, I think it's a fair price, especially Philip, like boarding schools not going beyond 1.6.
Which schools?
Boarding schools.
This is one.
Those are secondary schools. And then we're talking about day scholars not going beyond 650. Yeah. Then primary, 400 something. I think which is if you draw the line, and for example, if you have the school, the elite schools like King's College Budo. Put it aside with the other schools like Nabisunsas. Put it aside with other rural schools like Baitampo Secondary School somewhere in Busoga.
Yes.
So I think you'll have a choice as parents. You'll have a good choice. And if you opt to go to King's College Budo, you know that you will not go beyond 1.6. But if actually King's College Budo is almost shooting to 3 million shillings.
But Brother Ngogi, one thing that bothers me on that kind of arrangement is actually the quality. It's like, are we trying to create inequality so that for you, a poor person, you have to go to in quotes, that poor school or the school that pays very little. But all of us are trying to pursue, want to get this knowledge. We want to learn so that at least we become influential in the future. So government should try to make, to come up with a policy such that it favors all people, not only for the rich people. Because I would have thought that private schools primarily, were supposed to be for these very rich people, so that they can choose because they have their money, they can spend. But now, if you are now regulating them and you are not making the public schools better schools, then we are going to affect our local people. So I think government has to put all these things together, look at them and see that even when you are in the village, you can get quality education.
Interesting.
Personally, I think that the government should put much emphasis on the UPE schools
and UCE.
Yeah, and UCE. Investing money so that those schools become good schools, so that they can also start competing with the private owned schools. Because I went to to Kamoli CU. It's a government school.
Yes. Kamoli in Butsoga or Kamoli here in Chireka?
Yes, okay. Now, Kamoli is a very good school, and it's out competing private schools. But we used to pay school fees, and I remember there was a time where we were paying.
How much was that?
We were paying around 10,000.
So
they brought in a new headmaster. They increased the school fees to 15,000. Parents came to school. That is a lot of money.
15.
Yes.
How many years back?
That was around 2005, 2004. And trust me, that money is a lot.
Yeah.
You see, you were talking about the government coming up.
15,000 was a lot.
You guys, where did you grow up?
No, money is
100.
Now, since I'm comparing it to 1.6.
No, this is the thing. 15,000 was a lot then,
but
really a lot. Now, even today, you can tell someone, "Oh, my kid pays 1.6." I'm like, 1.6. My kid pays
3. I know the school in Uganda they're paying 7 point something.
And they're paying dollars.
They're even paying in dollars.
Yeah. Schools like
International
Vienna College.
Yeah,
leave those for the people who can.
And you see, you want your child to go there. You want your child to go there because you want your child to get good connections.
Phil, what I know about private schools is that these are business oriented, and these people put in a lot of money. They have loans from banks and what have you. So what I'm just saying here is that when government again, instead of regulating what is in that docket directly and going to the private schools, we should have put our public schools better.
Yes.
Then those people who can afford or who cannot afford can go to these public schools. The other guys who have the money and they have the luxury can go to the private schools. So I think government has to do that. But regulating private schools, I'm telling you,
that is what I was telling you. Okay. End of the day, they own that. They own.
If government maintains the standard of, like, for example, paying scientists like 5 million shillings, then probably you're paying the art teachers 3 million shillings. It means you are going to post human resource anywhere because they're comfortable with their salaries. Even though you're posted in deep down in Mayuge, deep there in the secondary school down there, but you are having a paycheck of 5M as a scientist and 3M as an artist. So if the scale is the same, so we shall spread the human resource across such that quality education will improve.
Okay.
And as a point.
All right. Away from field structure.
Okay.
Away from fees, because it seems all of us are having a concern on that. But let's look at what we are paying for. The subjects that our children are really taught. The forests in Switzerland.
Tea growing in Sri Lanka.
Yes. All the valleys and the lakes in Europe. Really? Do they really help a child in Uganda to shape them to a better future?
No, I think one thing that we've kind of like lost out on education has been the kind of curriculum that we've been following. But you remember that we had our colonial masters here, and what they did best was to make sure we do not get so much. They wanted us to know much about them and very little about ourselves.
Yes.
Surely, if you look at even me myself, I know many things about America. Say I know about China, the prairies of Canada, but they were growing wheat here in Kapchorwa, that place called Kabyoyon. I don't know if you ask any Ugandan, there may be very few people who can tell you that.
Yes.
So you find that the curriculum that was put in place by these colonialists was actually to benefit them, but not us. But now what is perturbing is that we followed this curriculum for all this time. However, now
60 years.
Yeah, 60 years, but now I can see there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
there's kind of they're reviewing the curriculum. They are looking at things that will benefit us. Let's know more about ourselves, little about the other guys. Then when we have known more about ourselves, then we can move outside. But you find that things that could have been done in Uganda here, when they talk about them, I remember we were studying about congestion in New York.
Yet we had our own.
You come to Kampala, but now a child, if he doesn't give an example of that area, then you say, no, this guy has failed. So, but things are just here with us. So I think we need to look at the curriculum and see how we can better our education.
Actually, the National Curriculum Development Center has tried to change the curriculum because I've been looking at my boy who is in senior. It has changed.
Yeah,
it's becoming slowly, gradually. It's becoming more practical because you see now they have some field work, they have some practical that they're supposed to do, and they are looking at O level in general, not looking at senior one, particularly senior 2, class by class. So if you look at even the reports forms, that they are grading students from what they have achieved right from senior one at what they can practically do. They are encouraging subjects like entrepreneurship. They are encouraging subjects like agriculture. They are art and crafts. They are encouraging music, dance, and drama because you see those are the guys that though they used to be called the MDDs, Musiru Dala Dala. They are the people who earn even more. Like for example, the Chameleons, booking Chameleon for a show, you'll have to part like with 7 million.
And that's what we've been missing for all the years.
So
I'm imagining if Philip started with that course sometime back. Now,
whether you say you're a politician or you're not, you get affected. You feel the impact. And to add on that, I also think that the Minister of Education should also embrace our local language. Like I think that is key because now that is our identity. We, regardless of how good we might be in English, we'll never be those people because even up to date they still discriminate us.
And but he will remain Fupa.
And which one is Philip recommending?
I'm just saying all
our local languages.
Personally, I do not like someone who cannot speak their mother tongue. And the other people you find, they know their mother tongue, but they're ashamed of speaking it. They find it local. Now, with such a person, I do not associate with you because you don't know who you are. You lost your identity. Yes, because you see Indians.
And elsewhere, you are punished for using your own local language.
The UBC, for example, and the station which I serve as UBC Butebo, we have so many local languages. And actually, when we are there, we talk local. I will tell you Mlembe, Utiena Yaya, Manyara Jesu Kolako, and then we move on. And I've seen that people understand more, they internalize more when they are taught in their language than in other languages. But as I said, the colonial masters, they made it, of course, something that was abominable. You remember at school they say speaking vernacular is not allowed. They would punish you, they will give you a bone, and people will laugh at you. So you thought maybe learning the English we are using was something that was very important. But On the other side, but of course, these were economical issues.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, if you go to imperial and colonial economy, this was one of the way of siphoning money from us.
Okay.
And they're still getting it up to now.
Interesting. Your way forward, gentlemen, on that sector, education.
Education.
Fupa?
My way forward would be that it would be good for government. What the innovations that they're doing are good. We need to review the curriculum, which has been reviewed. We need to make our children to be more practical. And also, we should identify the talents of these young people at an earlier stage. You know, for us here, we are a jackpot of everything. Somebody is studying this, somebody is a scientist, not a scientist. But if we manage to help our children so that we isolate where is one better in, and then we move that person in that line. Within a very short time, the scientists that the president is talking of, we would get them very good psychologists, and other people would be. But somebody here goes up even up to 50 years. You are not even a professor. You are not even one. But other people by around maybe 20s, mid-20s, early 20s, they are already professors. So we need to help our people identify the talents early and train them in that direction. We will be able to move very far.
What pains me most is that we pay that much, and at the end of the day, when a person graduates 25 years in school, he's reminded of going somewhere to get something that he can specialize in. Popularly known as a Mikono. You go and someone says, now I think I am a musician. Then you go back and start training him how to sincerely, which something would have done a little longer. Yeah. Philip?
But I also think the Ministry of Education should also embrace computer use. They should embrace technology, because we've seen in countries like United States, through internet, we've seen billionaires through creating software. Those are the things that we do not look at. Creating software, people have gotten a lot of money, and sometimes you can find someone is so good at IT, they can do all those things, but what they need is capital. But here, when you have an idea, someone to take you to the right person, they also need a cut. Kintu kidogo. Connection fee. You get the point. I think we should love our country more and make use of everything that we can. Embrace a lot of technology. Sometimes when we talk about embracing the Western culture, there are certain things that we do not want to associate with, like we distance ourselves from. I'll give you a very good example. You people, you're all parents, but there are certain things that go on in schools, and kids do not talk about them at home because they fear their parents. Some parents are tough. You cannot talk to your dad that some boy was vibing me, like a fellow boy was vibing me. And if he tells you that, to be like, no, those things can't happen. You get? So I think even parents, as we're talking about education, parents should also relate so much with their children. They get to know what is happening in their day-to-day life. Yeah, they should get to know that, because when you can associate with your parent, when you can talk with your parent, I'll just give you an example. Let me say your child is in his Form 4 vacation, and he tells you, know what, Dad, I want to start up a business. And you're like, how much do you want? 1M. Because you and your child, you have a relationship, you can easily invest that money. You can either say, but I know this one can't utilize this money, but this one can. The same thing, you can find a dad, a home, they have a car, but they do not allow their children to learn the car. You get that thing, and that thing is still happening. Now just imagine you are sick, your wife doesn't know how to drive, and your child doesn't know how to drive. You see?
But I hope Philip is also putting into consideration the age limits that allow people, because there are other people who are still,
that may come along with that.
I remember there are some few. Okay, when he's saying that, I do understand that at least somebody who has reached maybe 18 years and above, that is okay. But if somebody, if our laws allow, because you shouldn't do something that is also against the law. But for me, I believe that if you are in the home, actually at one time I had a vehicle, although I sold it because of other issues. That is for, but the immediate person that learned that vehicle was my wife. And the only things that the children have grown up, they have reached the age when we have sold the vehicle. But next time we get, parents, you should involve your children in all whatever you do, so that even when you are aside, these things can be going on. Surely, if you feel sick, your child can drive you to hospital.
Yeah,
they
sure.
can. They have better sight. And the crashes that we're having on our roads are sometimes because of poor sight. So I think what Philip is saying is true. But then there's also poison from these so-called Western governments and the education that are bringing to our people. Actually, one of the things is the use of drugs. They're trying to derail our children. They are bringing in these exotic things. They're saying, you can have your wife, a man can have a man. All those are very bad things. Why?
Very, very bad.
Because actually, sometimes when I read the Bible, it talks of the end of the world. Now, if you really love a fellow man and a woman loves a fellow woman, is that not the end of the world? Right. Because how shall we get new people to continue, So there are certain things that are happening that we shouldn't copy from the Western world, but issues of technology and developing ourselves in scientific fields, I think that is a very, very good thing.
Interesting. George Ngobi on education.
Okay. Thank you, Amon. I want to agree with Mike and Philip, what they're saying, to embrace technology. But the point is, if we are more practical, if our education system is more practical and more research-based, because if you look at countries like Japan and China, kids in primary schools learn how to assemble the gadgets that we use in primary, right from the start. So if we embrace that kind of curriculum and embrace technology, like Philip was saying that way, if we have free Wi-Fi. We used to have Wi-Fi around Kampala. I don't know if it's still on.
It was fake. It was fake. Actually, there are times specifically for internet and it could not connect.
Yeah. You used to have it. At times you could tap into it, but at least
it was misused.
Maybe you misused it.
And the other thing you were talking about, watching our kids are very, very careful. At one point, I tried to watch cartoon with my kid. And I try to listen to the language of the cartoon. It's for kids, but the language was really bad. Yeah. Then they were violent cartoons. Because I do literature, I do review, I know a story, I know the story of a plot, how the story is unfolding, but I try to look at the plot of this cartoon. What is it trying to teach the kids? Yeah, but I realized that they were very violent. They are always fighting. Then I said, this is what kids keep on watching. Then you find your kids developing an aggressive behavior because of the content they are watching at home. Then you look at the PlayStations, and it's becoming very popular around in urban areas. If you look at what those kids are going to those PlayStations, they are always war games, of course, apart from football, which is okay, but they are war games, they are fighting games, they are killing machines. So we need to, while we think of formatting our education systems, we need to look still at the content that comes with technology and how best we can use the technology to the advantage of our kids.
Interesting.
Since it's about regulating education, you also, as parents, you also have a vital role to play in this, because lately the movies that are being released, trust me, 99%, if it's not an action movie, they have a lot of homosexuality. So they're trying, the Western culture, they're trying to impact homosexuality into our culture. Yeah. So as parents, you should also regulate those things. Yeah. because most of the movies, if they're not action, actually Chinese movie, they do not have a lot of that. That is why you see that those movies are not trending. Japan's, they do not. Actually, in a Chinese movie, it is even rare to see a woman kissing a man. It is but now look at American movies. 99%
they start with it,
yes,
and end
homosexuality.
with it.
You can watch an entire series with.
On what Philip is saying, you know, our brothers in the West, when they want to impose some content and things that are not actually good for us, then they run to this animal called the human rights.
Yes.
They say it is somebody's right, but surely, if you are not at an age where you can decide whether something is good or bad, which human right is that? If something is poisoning you, if something is actually taking away from the norms that society, you know, cherishes, the values that we cherish, then how does that become a human right? So that's why I say that as a nation, as Uganda, as Africans, we must actually try to come up with what we think is good for us. What we think is not good, our brothers should excuse us. However, the problem that we have usually is it is with the aid that they give us. It's because of our poverty, because of our miseries, because of the issues that we go through. These guys will always want to help you, but that aid that is being given to you has with the strings.
They don't come to us, we go to them.
Yeah, we go to them and
asking for that help, and that help comes with such conditions.
With such conditions. So I'm trying to say that our people should be alert. Let's try to use the little that we have. And I'm saying, let's use our resources wisely.
All right.
Because of the corruption and other things that happen, that's why we are seeing this infiltration of things that are not actually right for us, coming into our country.
Interesting. Later on, we're going to engage ourselves in that very aspect of self-reliance and how best we can cut those ties and conditions, and we defend our culture. But since you are gentlemen and we've been in a year that is full of sports, we have just ended World Cup. I would love to get your opinions on this year in as far as sports industry is concerned. Starting with you, George Ngobi, what was your best moment and the worst moment in sports?
Let me begin with the worst, because it just happened. The greatest of all, that's the Brazilian Pele, did not manage to end to see 2023. He has died a few days back. That could be one of the saddest moments. Of course, there are some other sportsmen that have died, but if I go back to one of my best moments, I think I enjoyed watching this Chiprimo, Jacob Chiprimo boy, Chiprimo, winning two gold medals at the Commonwealth, and of course looking at of course even the ladies, Harima Nakai and the other one, they did us great, and of course Amon. The Chic Rains, those netball girls, the Chic Rains did us proud, especially in the first. It's the first five net tournament that was held in Australia, and stunning the number one ranked team by beating them, and of course the famous dance that they danced, the Babandana dance.
That was electric.
The bandana dance, the way those girls.
I think that was very good for
because I kept on watching that. I kept on watching it. I kept on watching it more and more again, and they did us proud. So, of course, the World Cup also was the icing on the cake. It was quite exciting, especially for the Africans. Morocco being the first African teams, although they tend to to stand the Arab
They
League.
don't consider themselves Africans. That is why I never supported them. That is why I didn't support them.
Yeah.
I'm a Pan-African. I never supported them. And actually, I was very happy when colonialists were out. And even Morocco was out.
No, okay.
Honestly speaking.
I'm on now. You see how Philip is a real politician.
Anyway.
No, I'm not. I'm just a Pan-African.
You're proving yourself to be one.
Okay, Philip, as I conclude, on behalf of CAF, because they play under the Confederation of African Football, they made us proud at the African bloc because the first African team to reach the semi-finals.
Sure.
That was also good. I support African teams, although if Uganda is not playing at high level tournaments, I always support Cameroon. And Cameroon beating Brazil was one of the most interesting highlights that I really enjoyed, and especially the way they did it in style. If you remember that Abubakar goal, it was a beauty, and I really felt so proud as an African who enjoys the sport.
I mean, personally, I just wish Cameroon faced Britain and World Britain, those colonial monsters. I would be the happiest. I would be the happiest. Actually, me the highlight as very happy that colonial monsters never took the World Cup. That is the best.
It went to Argentina. After almost 36 years.
Argentina, yes. And actually, I saw Cristiano Ronaldo signed a contract with this Arab country, and I don't really know. I thought Mr. Tai was going to be around so that he could give us.
He's going to join us online.
So he could give us more details about that, because I would really want to know. I think they're just giving him good money because we've reached a certain point. Actually, the Bible talks about it. I've forgotten the verse that as the world is coming to one end, people will start worshipping money. Considering money as a vital thing in everything. You can do your research about it. Now think about it. Being materialistic.
I think everybody is entitled to their view and the way you look at money, but money is something that facilitates, that helps us. I think this issue of saying that people are glorifying money and we also want money, I think wouldn't be right. The most important thing is that if you get your money, how do you use it?
Interesting.
Do you use it for good issues, or you are there to use that money for other things?
Okay.
So that's why the colonialists have actually that is also colonial.
Yes.
Maybe to supplement that.
Yes,
like we missed that, and Philip talked about that talent development in our curriculum. Talent pays, and footballers retire very early. Now, at such a 7 years, Cristiano Ronaldo is now an old horse. So he's in his wee years of earning, and he's going to retire soon, because you can see that in sport, apart from probably the marathon and boxing, you find that footballers retire at an early age, and they are entitled to earn that much, because at 37 you're retired. But for you, Philip, you're going to wait until you clock 60 years before.
The thing is, actually, now, since you are the guy who does literature, I want you to read us this. May I speak with evidence? Hey, you can read us that.
Celestius.
Wow. Yes.
He's given us a Bible verse. That it's Celestius. I have trouble pronouncing that. This is 5:10. It says that whoever loves money.
Which book is that?
A Celestius.
Yes, speak with evidence. Please go ahead.
Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. Then Proverbs are that is 11:10. Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but the righteousness delivers from death. So
interesting. Okay, let me. All right.
He's becoming.
But I'm quoting the Bible. Actually, these things are from the Bible.
All right.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't love money, because we should love money. You need to dress. You need to pay school fees. As I said, parents sacrifice a lot. Actually, you realize that when you've grown up, when you start looking for money, I respect elders. There was a time I was speaking to my muse and I wanted money because I grew up with my grandfather. So I told him I wanted money for certain things, and he told me he does not have money. And I told him, you can't be this old and you don't have money. Like, old people always have money. Just that I've grown up, then I realized, man, you can wake up and you don't have even a single coin, and you can't even tell people. Someone tells you and you're like, I don't have. You even feel ashamed.
All right.
So whenever that hits back, I reflect on what I told my judge.
But who doesn't love money anyway?
Me.
Because
me.
Sports this year?
Sports.
You don't love politics. You don't love money. You
doesn't love sports.
Yeah.
The other things I love.
Okay, Fupa, your take on sports?
I have a small submission on sports. I actually love football so much. I also enjoy watching quite a number of games, athletics and the kind. So that's why our brothers in Kapchora do us proud. Whenever they get some gold, whenever they win medals, they do us proud. The Cheptegei, the Cheplimo, Chiprotich, and the Chemtai. You know those guys? Che. So that's a good thing. Why? Because actually it markets our country. At first, when you talk to some of most of the Western countries, they still think that President Idi Amin Dada is still in Uganda. They say, is that guy still there? That is the little they know about us. But we've moved on, and so many things have changed. So one way of trying to market our country and also to develop our talent and also to bring in resources is actually looking at the issue of sports and different sports.
Yeah, sure.
However, I was very happy this time around, and I will continue to thank Uganda Broadcasting Corporation and, of course, the government of Uganda by allowing most of our people to watch on the TV most of the games, but also on radio. We managed to give them the 64 games. Whatever was happening in Qatar was being relayed directly to our people, which I think that was very good. The other thing is that as our country, we must move forward so that we position our young people. Some can go into sports, others can go into engineering, others can be doing, so that we keep tapping this money from wherever it is. And when that money comes in, definitely our economy will grow. And when the economy grows, we move to the middle income status. Then by the time you know it, we are also in the first world. So I want to encourage all our parents that if you see a talent in your child, please do not block it. The other day, I'm very happy. One of my girls was playing in this East African Games, and she managed to come with a bronze.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really
So that was very
her.
good. She played, is it darts? I don't know that game so much, but she came back with a bronze, and I was very happy. So I'm encouraging all the parents that let's develop the talents of our children, and we will be getting money for sure.
And the government should also build more stadiums.
The government brings stadium.
Yeah.
If you look at the president of Uganda, he's always positive, but he says there are certain pressing issues. As you may have a priority list, for him he's looking at the roads, which I think is okay. He's looking at electricity, because it's the power that will drive most of the industries and whatever we want to do. And then he's making sure that the security of the country is guaranteed, so that our Cheplimos and other people can practice from wherever they are. So I think these things will be done, but what is important is let's have a priority list and try to move accordingly. I think we will be there.
Interesting. But we're also not forgetting that the government cannot do everything, because in those developed countries, if you are to see, and those teams that we really support and celebrate, most of them, they are privately owned.
Yeah. Private sector.
So I thought if the private sector joined the sports, perhaps would be doing much better.
Yeah, I think that's what Philip should emphasize.
You see, the problems, you can have investors, and to get to the right people for you to get those signatures, you need to go through a broker. Now, the broker needs kintu kidogo, and they need a lot of money. Like, those are actual facts. Those are actual facts. Now, now let me say, I want to meet the manager, Butebo. So I go through you. So you will tell me, man, to meet him. First give me a 50. I also have my problem. So I want to meet him so that we can solve the problem. So I think if we develop a love for our country, to see that our country develops instead of having those selfish, ideas that, man, nze mfunira muwa. You get, because we have a lot of that. Where do I benefit from? If we eliminate that and look at developing our country, we would be somewhere. Because if you look at teams like there was a time when Onduparaka was was on the chart, like everywhere. Yes, like everywhere. Everyone was talking about that team. Onduparaka. Everyone was talking about it. But what happened to it? It is now silent. You get?
When you say that, Philip, I remember our Mbale Heroes. Mbale Heroes, but our team has gone.
You see? Anyway,
yeah.
Maybe to supplement on what Philip is saying and what Mike has been talking about. Now, we have some good individuals like Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa, and he solely owns the Vipers, and he has put up infrastructure. St. Mary's Stadium is the only stadium that actually can host
is private,
which is a private-owned stadium. So you can see we need to push government to develop structure.
He said the working security and roads.
No, for example,
that is very.
All those things.
Anyway, if you look at Vipers and the level of achievement they've gone, they've qualified for the group stages of the Champions League, the African edition, and of course the past. The paycheck that they're going to earn for only reaching that stage, but still encourage government to generously guard infrastructure for sports. I'm skeptical about the development of Nachivubo, because if you remember the Nachivubo Memorial Stadium, given to a private developer, Miss Chigundu, who promised us to do it in record 2 years.
And now we are in how many years now?
But ironically, he first developed the surrounding area very fast.
All right, gentlemen, it's a very big privilege and honor that we've been joined by a lady, which you really requested and fulfilled what I promised.
And actually,
actually, you're what?
You can see how I'm smiling.
You're all talking at once now. I don't know which one.
It's the excitement.
All these people are married. She should come and sit this side.
And whether you are married or not, whenever you are near a lady, you look either she looks like your daughter, she looks like your mother.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
even
so you, Philip, you may get a chance.
I'm still on Google. I'm still on Google. I'm still searching.
Even the tone of Amon has changed a little.
Yeah,
you can see now it's more romantic.
It's more gentle. Okay, Amon.
Please, you may greet our dear listener and most welcome to UBC Ground Zero. Sharon is coming from UBC TV, is the news anchor.
Oh, great.
And you see how you have made these guys celebrate before we end the year. Most welcome, Sharon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Is it good morning? Yes.
Good morning.
Very good morning to our dear listeners. Thank you so much for inviting me as well to UBC Ground Zero. Such fascinating topics. I think I've been listening online and it's wonderful. It's going on well. I think the last thing you were talking about was sports. My name is Sharon Chomjisha, by the way, and I am a news anchor and reporter with UBC TV.
Interesting. Yes. We've been talking about sports, and I would love to know your take. Which discipline you really enjoy in this very sector?
So I am not that fun when it comes to sports. But I think one of my highlights for me was She Cranes beating Australia this year. The fact that, it's a commonly male-dominated sport, but we have an area for the females, and the government has been supportive. As seeing them beat Australia, the best netball team this year, was really, really amazing. And I think the sky can only be the limit.
Interesting.
I think for the very first time, I sort of also sat down and tried to watch soccer at the FIFA World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's because maybe the environment, the terrain now is quite different because...
Any specific team you are supporting or an individual?
So the last match is what I watched, and that was Argentina versus France. And somehow I just got onto Argentina's side, and we beat France. So I'm now official Argentina's
So you were in for Messi?
Yes. Oh, yes, the GOAT.
Oh,
yeah.
You have reminded me of that statement. The GOAT.
The GOAT, yeah.
Who GOAT?
Messi.
And
I think it is the fact that isn't he retiring or something like that?
Yes, I think this was the last time he's playing World Cup. I think he's still on for other matches. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Anyway, maybe I forgot to tell you about my wife also tried to watch the World Cup, the final. And
you inspired her?
No, what she learned actually from the World Cup is that now at least she has a player she knows in the world in the name of Mbappe. Yeah,
that was my goat.
By the way, much as they are colonial masters, that somehow there was also that blood in me that you should support people who are like you. So I was 100% supporting France.
Hey, so also Mbappe was your god?
All those guys. No, I loved all of them, by the way, because the field, the country is for the whites, but the people who are playing were actually blacks.
Someone mentioned that we could hardly tell which was black because France was purely black, apart from the goalkeeper, and Morocco was full of whites. So we wouldn't tell which African state it was.
You see, the other thing is we as Africans, some African countries do not usually embrace talent. So when those people go that side, they give them citizenship and all those privileges. So they automatically become citizens, and those people exploit their talents. They are colonialists.
Also, Philip, you have to add on this that as we talk of the colonial masters, the French had the policy of assimilation, while the other people did not. So for them, they wanted to make all these other colonies that were under them to behave.
Gentlemen, I have like someone online.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
You're most welcome to UBC Ground Zero.
Thank you.
This Peter Tai?
Yeah, this is Peter Tai.
We are talking about sports this time, and we happen to land into your sector that you are best known, because someone told me that if we are talking about sports and commentary, then your name cannot fail to appear.
Thank you.
This is UBC Ground Zero, and I have a special team here in the studios. I have 3 gentlemen and 1 lady. But we are asking ourselves what were our best moments and what's moments for you in sports, especially in this year, 2022.
2022 has actually been full of excitement and some bit of disappointment. If you're to talk about the element of sport, one of the biggest achievements so far we have had in the aspect of sport is the performance of Uganda at the concluded Commonwealth Games, where we actually did manage to win a couple of medals from there, about 3 gold medals and about 2 bronze medals. That is what we actually managed to win at the Commonwealth Games this year. The games actually were played in the UK. That's where we had, to be precise, Birmingham. That's where we had the games being played. Uganda finished number 16 overall. Kiplingat winning a gold medal in the marathon. Kiplimo winning a gold medal in the 10,000 kilometers. Kiplimo again winning a gold medal in the 5 kilometers. In the ladies category, that is Peruth Chemutai winning a bronze medal in the 3,000 kilometer steeplechase. Remember, she actually fell. She fell, then had to recover and chase until she actually finished number 3. That is Peruth Chemutai. That was a very good run for her amidst all the falling and the injury. Then in boxing, there was a lady called Teddy Namutebi. winning the first ever bronze medal in the ladies boxing for Uganda. So I have to admit that Commonwealth performance was actually very good for Uganda in 2022. That is this very year. We can also not forget that if we are to talk about sports in general, this very year we did see the increment of the sports budget by the government of Uganda from about 17 billion Uganda shillings to 47 billion Uganda shillings. That was a very huge increment, because if you realize from 17 to 47, that's a huge up climb for that is sports. That money is not enough. 47 billion is not enough for sport, but at least it was something. It's something. At least an increment from 17 to 47 billion.
Yeah,
That's something very good.
Mm.
Then we cannot forget that this very year, Uganda women took part in their second edition of the AUCON, that is the Africa Women's Cup of Nations. Uganda actually did play in Morocco, though we did not come out of the group stages, but at least we represented well. That is for the Ugandan women, and that was showed on UBC TV. We actually had that live on UBC TV. It was very good, very colorful. So we have to admit that those are some of the talking pointers that we can actually rely on in the sports, because if we are to categorize everything, it will be too much for me to look at sector by sector, and it will become very much. But all in all, I think those are some of the biggest pointers that we actually achieved very much. The increment of the sports budget, women taking part there, even the cricket also, we did have some good participation. Netball, we also participated well in 2022. Yeah, so it's very good.
Interesting. We would love to know how it was for this World Cup, but before we go there, we lost our legend, Pele. Can you take us through what legacy he has left behind?
If you remember very well, Pele has actually left a very huge milestone. People believe that he is the greatest ever player to have played the game of football, though they are comparing him with Messi of recent. But you're talking about a player who has actually managed to win more than 2 World Cups. There is no player that has actually won more than 2 World Cups, and that is the man himself, Pele. Messi has so far won only 1 World Cup, but Pele has won more than 3. So he passed on, that was yesterday. May God rest his soul very well. He has broken records. He has made a lot of records. He has scored, preferably to many, the best goal at the World Cup ever. He actually played for Brazil at the age of about 15, 17. That's when he actually played for Brazil. Played his very first World Cup at the age of 15, rather. He actually became the youngest ever player to score a goal at the World Cup. So he actually has left a very big milestone. He scored, by the time he retired from the game of football, he'd actually scored more than 2,000 goals. That is Pele himself. So the milestone that he has left is a milestone that cannot be broken. It is a milestone that will be standing for a very long time. There is no player as good as Pele. We actually privileged as the country Uganda that Pele actually visited Uganda in the 70s. If you remember very well, he was invited into Uganda.
President Idi Amin Dada.
Yes, he was invited into Uganda by the late President Idi Amin. He was here for youth football, and he was here for about 3 days, and he had a training session at Nachivuo. So we only have to appreciate the little time that we spent with him, or the time that God gave him to us rather. Very many people have actually learnt a lot from him. If you go down and talk to very many Brazilian footballers, they say he's the one that opened up the door for them, because everybody wanted to sign a Brazilian because of Pele. So that's how it is. And to me, he actually opened up the door for black football players, because what Pele put into the World Cup actually opened up a lot for very many black footballers. So I have to admit that his legacy will actually live on very well.
Peter, who do you see that may go in his shoe after he has gone?
It's going to be difficult to get somebody to enter into the shoes of Pele, winning more than 3 World Cups. Messi is at the age of 35. I don't think if he can win 3 World Cups, no. In the aspect of winning 3 World Cups, but could be difficult. But in the aspects of being compared closely to Pele, yes, he can, because he has done enough, really. If you are to look at what Messi has actually put on, he has won almost everything there is to win. The World Cup was the only thing that was missing for him that he actually managed to win just a few weeks ago. So, yeah, preferably Messi can come closer to him. But for me, nobody can put on the shoes of Pele.
Let's go World Cup 2022. The best moment, which team you were supporting, and who was your god?
I have to admit that normally when it comes down to World Cup football, I am a Dutch fan. I do support the Dutch. Very disappointed with the kind of football they displayed this year around. It was very boring. The Dutch are preferably well known for attacking football, but this year around they were known for defensive football. The approach was not the actual approach that we are known to watching for the Dutch. Morocco surprised everybody and surprised the whole Africa, becoming the first African team to qualify for the semi-finals. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to the finale because they were exited by the French, if you do remember very, very well. But they played very well and they won the hearts of very many, that is Morocco. And I have to admit that their performance has actually opened up the door a lot for Africa. And now people can take Africa as a different kind of continent when it comes down to the game of football. My God. Well, you have to give it to Messi, really. You have to give it to Messi. Okay. He played well. It was only this that we was lacking to get, and he got it. So you have to give it to Messi, yeah.
Interesting. What are some of the lessons that we picked from this World Cup? For example, for my case, having 7 stadiums, which were temporary, it was something that was so innovative and interesting.
Yeah, that is one. It's actually one that was temporal. That is the Stadium 974. Now, Stadium 974 was actually one built out of containers. And as I speak right now, it's being demolished. And that to me is a lesson to many that look, in sports infrastructure and engineering, anything can happen. You just need to put it in place, because there is nothing that is impossible, really. If you want a stadium built on top of water, it can be done. The guys of Dubai have done it, you know, so it's possible. We are only waiting to see for a stadium built on top of water, but it can be possible. It can be very, very possible. So nothing is impossible. So having stadiums built out of containers, and that stadium hosted about 6 matches, to me is a very big phenomenon when it comes down to world football. So I have to admit, we have to learn a lot from that. And speaking about learning a lot, I think the country needs to borrow a leaf on the infrastructure. Where do we want our country to be? Yes, I know there are very many priorities that this country is looking at. Right now, everybody is complaining of the bad roads in Uganda. You go here, you go there, potholes here, potholes there. Everybody is now complaining about accidents here and there. So I think the government may actually prioritize where it wants to go. And I think the element of roads, electricity, security have actually taken a #1 priority in this country. The element of sports, people believe that sports is basically a, and that's why I come in and say, we get things wrong. The government, together with the MPs that legislate in this country, need to wake up and realize that sports is no longer a leisure. Sports is no longer a pastime. Sports has actually become a profession. Messi began playing football at a young age. But if you look at the amount of money that Messi earns, that money is actually, can I say, can fund the economy of Uganda for one full year. It can fund, but that's a player that actually is playing football. The amount of money, as I speak right now, Cristiano Ronaldo has signed a deal with a club all the way in the Saudi Arabia. You know, he's going to be earning $200 million a year. Calculate that into Uganda money. Calculate that into Uganda, because if a shilling, if a dollar shilling is about 3,700, so 3,700 times 200 million, how much is that?
I'm Team Otai. I was telling
Yes.
them and they're disagreeing. I'm Team you, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it is high time that people realize that sports is no longer a pastime.
Yeah, sure.
It is high time that parents realize that taking your child to an academy of football, an academy of sport, is not wastage of time. You are thinking of the future of the boy. Education should not be the only part and say that they normally say education is the way to life. It shouldn't be like that. We should try and also invest in other aspects. You send your child to school for more than 10, 15 years, and the child comes back home to sit. But the child has a talent of playing football. The child has a talent of mechanics.
Per week and in pounds.
Exactly. 200 million. That is money which does not involve what we call image rights. You know, that is just his money from the club. But there is also image rights and the rest. Do you know what it means? Earning 300,000 pounds a
That
week.
guy, that guy can pay me an entire family to survive.
No, for over 10 years.
For 10
For
years.
more than 10 years.
I'm doing
You know?
sports.
I'm telling you. So we should think
Yeah, sure.
of sport. But how can we think of sport? I'll always say this on the national radio. Government should invest in sports infrastructure. Sports infrastructure. There is no way we are going to think of developing the next Kiprotich, the next Obua, the next Sam Simbwa, when we have very pathetic sports infrastructure.
But how about
I'm sorry to
private
use the word
sector?
pathetic.
How about private sector joining the sport and the business?
Private is doing its part. Mulindwa has built a stadium. That's where we are actually hosting our games. Chitende, that's Mulindwa. But how happy are you as government when your national team is playing in a private facility? How happy are you? How happy are you when you only have one national stadium in your country and yet you want to host the 2027 African Cup of Nations? How happy are you when Nachibobo Stadium has taken more than 5 years to be given back to you? How happy are you when the sports land is being stolen and encroached upon in very many parts of this country? How happy are you? It is high time we wake up and say, look, we do not only want to prioritize education, but let's also give the aspect of sport a touch. I am happy that Nambole is getting a facelift. I am happy.
Yes.
And Nachibobo is on its way.
But
Nachibobo is on a tortoise. I can't talk about Nachibobo. It's on a tortoise speed. Go and see what's happening there. You know?
Interesting.
But when government came in one day and said that they are going to renovate 7 traditional stadiums in this country, I was happy. Jona Kibwa, Buhinga, I think Kacheka, Masaka, there is also Gulu. I was very happy to hear that. But this is on paper. This is just on paper. We need action to take part. Action. The more we build infrastructure, the better for our country and the better we begin pushing out people. Look at Brazil. I'm sorry to delay, but look at Brazil. Brazil has exported. The word is export. They have exported very many football stars around the world, and those stars are contributing heavily to the economy. As we speak, Uganda is exporting labor, house girls, together with cleaners to Saudi Arabia. But the small money that the house girls and cleaners and airport people are bringing back in the country is supporting this country. Imagine if we send more than 10,000 sportsmen. We are sending 10,000 footballers to Europe, and each footballer is earning minimally 10,000 pounds. This country will actually change.
Interesting. Let's talk about CAF Federation.
Yes.
The position of Uganda, because I believe that's the way for Uganda to represent and participate in the World Cup, the next World Cup.
Yeah. The good thing about the next World Cup will be hosted in 3 countries. That is Mexico, Canada, and USA. And the number of teams.
Why was that, by the way, before we go into that? Why 3 countries this time? Because I think, if not mistaken, is it the first time to have 3 countries host
it's
World Cup?
It's going to be the first time. It's going to be
What
the
is
first
the
time
logic behind this?
The logic is we are having an increment of countries. We're having an increment of countries. Now, the number of countries is going up to 48. You get me? We're going up to about 48 countries. Africa was represented by only 5. Now, Africa is going to be represented by 9 plus 1. I don't know if you understand when I say 9 plus 1.
I need to be integrated.
9 means that 9 countries will qualify automatically. Then the one country will have to play what we call a play-off. If they win in the play-off, then Africa can be represented by 10. But 9 qualify automatically. But the plus 1...
How many did we have before?
5.
5. Oh,
only
that's
5.
good.
But now
that's
we have
good.
gone to 9.
A big opportunity for Uganda this time.
Yeah, it's there. If only we can be serious, really. The serious I mean is, do you know that Uganda is supposed to play in the CHAN? Now, CHAN is the African Cup of Nations for local-based players that play domestically at home. It's called CHAN. Now, this competition begins on the 13th of January, next month, live on UBC TV and radios. We are live. Uganda opens up on the 14th of January against DRC. But let me tell you that money for the cranes was released just only, I think, this week. Because initially, FUFA, the Federation of Ugandan Football, was thinking of pulling out the Uganda cranes because there was no money. There was no money that was given. So government came up with 2 billion shillings and gave them to prepare. So tomorrow, the team jets off to Tunisia for training before they can go to Algeria, where the games will be played. So preparation is very key. You want to see Uganda play at the World Cup, but how prepared are you? Playing at the World Cup does not mean you get a few shillings and give, and you think you demand a lot from the boys to go and play at the World Cup. We need to prepare early. Prepare early. That's why you see Morocco. Everyone is proud about Morocco. But look at the investment that Morocco has put into sport. A lot of money, huge sums of money. Morocco. So you can't compare Uganda with Morocco in terms of sports preparation, World Cup preparation, AFCON preparation. You need to milk the cow in order to get from the cow.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Did you say we are hosting CAF in 2027?
The government is thinking of hosting the African Cup of Nations. They want to do what we call a joint bid with Tanzania. They are thinking of a joint bid with Tanzania. So it means that both Uganda and Tanzania shall host. So some matches will be played in Uganda, some matches will be played in Tanzania. So that's what we call joint hosting. Just like how you see the World Cup is going to be hosted by 3 countries, Mexico, Canada, and USA. Will be joint hosts of the World Cup.
Interesting.
Yes.
That was a very great discussion of sports, but a lady and some of my guests would love to ask you one or two, since they are lovers of sports. Starting with you, Sharon.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said you don't think there would be any replacement for Pele.
Yes.
I mean, he's done great and won over 5 World Cups and all. I'm just thinking, do you think maybe the sports terrain right now is quite different, that maybe then it sort of allowed you to shine, like there was more room to shine, you didn't have so many sports players and all, but right now there's so much talent out there, and the media is also critiquing and also sort of you know, giving feedback. And so a 24-year-old now, I think Mbappe is 24 years old and all, is being compared to like a Ronaldo who has been in the game for quite some time, or Messi. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think maybe the sports terrain has sort of changed, and that's why we might never have another Pele, but also maybe he was at an advantage more than the people now?
I want you to look at the sports terrain from 1940 until 1980. You realize that right now we're in a generation of digital age, whereby you just get your phone and you can watch a match in America. You get your phone, you can Google statistics of a footballer in Angola. You know, we have TV right now. Before, when Pele was growing up and Pele was playing his game, we were so much in the dark. I think the only information we could get was via newspapers by then. And even the story via the newspaper would actually come maybe 2, 3, or even a week has passed, you know. So growing up, Pele's time was more difficult than where we are right now. Right now, we can say that the sports scene is easy. Very, very easy. There's been an advancement in sports medicine. There's been an advancement in sports technology. And there's been an advancement on social media and everything. But before, you get an injury, you can be out for a full year. But Pele was there, hardened on. He was actually the true, can I say the true hardened footballer by then. Right now, it's been very easy. Footballers right now are being spoiled by money. Footballers are being spoiled by a lot by fame. Fame, actually. I'm very happy that players like Ronaldo, players like Messi do not come up to show a lot their fame. But if you realize that some footballers that have been destroyed by fame, you know, a footballer becomes very famous and he thinks he's God. But by then, footballers were real handmade footballers. You go into a pitch, you're kicked left and right, and you hardened. These days, a small kick on a player, he screams as though he has broken a leg or he has broken a head.
All right.
So,
Philip?
Yes, I can actually concur with you that there's been a little bit of change in the sports trend. But
We're
look
giving-
at the advancement of of sport right now.
Okay.
It's totally different from how it was.
Totally different. Any observation, gentlemen, in the studios as we end that sector and segment about sports? Philip?
You said, Mr. Uta, you say that Uganda is going to co-host that.
He's thinking of co-hosting, not going to. He's thinking of co-hosting.
Because I was about to ask you, which stadiums are you going to use? Is it Nambole? Because you know that is the only stadium that we have when we are to talk about stadiums. That is the only stadium.
We're
that
also
we have.
going to rent that one of Chitende.
But you can't compare Chitende to Nambole. Nambole is another level.
Now, this is why it falls back, like what I say, this is why it falls back to the government. We need to invest in sports infrastructure.
Yeah, sure.
A lot has to be done. Government say they are thinking of renovating the 7 traditional sports, areas. And I mentioned from Bohinga to Kibwa, Masaka. They are trying to do that.
Yeah. All right.
For you to host an African Cup of Nations, you must have a stadium that can accommodate more than 40,000 people.
Do we have one?
Nambole. Yeah, Nambole is 43,000.
Okay.
But the other problem, Nambole became a camp with Mr. Tai.
No, I want you
that
to go.
That is a discussion of another day, maybe.
Unfortunately, you're not allowed to go there. But if you can take some time, jump on a taxi or your car, drive around and see what is going on in Nambole. Yeah. You'll appreciate the little that the engineering brigade of UPDF has done to that stadium.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's coming to life.
Yes.
It's coming to life. The stadium is coming to life. I only want to see if what was planned for shall be put in the stadium. In our country, we actually, the president normally says the word cham, cham, cham. We have a lot of people that do a lot of cham, cham, cham.
What's that?
Cham, cham means robbing and eating.
All right.
Very long hands, So I am only worried about that.
All right. A quick one, George.
For that that convincing analysis. But when we think of hosting, probably joint hosting, why don't we have the idea of Qatar having those temporary stadia that can be demolished? Because Brazil hosted the World Cup a few years ago. But the stadia equally to South Africa that hosted the World Cup in 2010, the infrastructure becomes white elephants.
Yes, very true. Very true.
So
very true.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have it here?
It's possible to have a stadium becoming a white elephant. Nambole became a white elephant. Nambole actually was resorted to hosting parties and hosting elections for the NRM. That's where they used to go. Everything was Nambole. Even hosting exams for these accountants. That was where how Nambole was reduced to. I can assure you that Nambole is actually under the Ministry of Finance. Did you know that?
No.
Nambole falls under the Ministry of Finance because Nambole was supposed to be meant as a money-making venture. But you find that it's not making the money it was supposed to be making. Nambole Stadium. So reducing Nambole to white elephant is possible. We can build 50,000 seaters in Uganda and they become a white elephant if we are not utilizing them well. I think that's where the government also is scratching its head and says, now look, if we give this big stadium, there could be a problem. That's why I think, to me, the best stadia that could actually be sent across could be stadiums not bigger than 20,000.
All right.
Not bigger than 20,000, because
Michael
that can be managed. That can be managed by the local council.
Really chasing us. In seconds, George.
I wanted to say that we can borrow a leaf from. There's a stadium that is being developed in Arua, by a private owner. But
that is Arua Hill Stadium.
Yeah, but if you look at the plan, the structure plan, there are shopping malls, just like the way Ham did, so that's to avoid white elephant stadium.
Okay, interesting. Michael
let me answer him. The
in
idea
seconds.
is good, but the idea cannot be passed by CAF. The law is very clear. You cannot have shopping malls surrounding a national stadium because it means that on match day, you have to close those shopping malls. That's clear. So what Ham has done with Nachiruo Stadium is good. Unfortunately, it may not pass CAF or FIFA accreditation to host a game, international game.
Michael Fupa, a quick one.
Actually, to appreciate my brother Otai for he's very knowledgeable about what he does. And,
thank you very much.
We just have to continue supporting him and praying. However, I just wanted to make a small comment on the side of development of sports in Uganda. If you look at some of the countries that are doing very well, you also have to look at the economies of those countries. I think Uganda, we are trying. We are trying. I think that's why we are winning a few medals. But I think
we are winning the medals in a difficult situation.
Yeah, but I think government Banotai is doing something. What I just wanted to say is the other issue, the problem that we have in Uganda probably could be the issue of corruption. Is that if we put our little and few resources that we get